Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Tinnitus. And today, you may or may not know, the 2nd of February up until the 9th is Tinnitus Awareness Week, which means I'm doing something a little bit different. But first of all, I just want to say the Tinnitus Journaling Club will be officially live by the time I post this. The doors are open, which is amazing. I'm so excited. The first workshop for the club is on the 5th of February, which is our journaling workshop. So I'm so excited. But today, it's something a little bit different. I think I've only ever had 2 other guests on Let's Talk Tinnitus, and that was a few years ago on my podcast when it was just on Spotify. But now I just thought, let's do it again. Let's bring someone on. And today I'm bringing on Charlotte Young. Charlotte is a wonderful and inspiring person. She is a cochlear implant user, and she also has tinnitus herself. So we went on a Zoom call and we had a really, really good one-to-one chat about our experience with tinnitus and hearing loss. And our stories are both very, very different, but it was just so interesting to have a good chat about each other's experience and how they are the same, how they are different, because everyone's experience with tinnitus and hearing loss is so different. It's a huge spectrum. So I just wanted to bring her on, and I hope you enjoy listening to our lovely chat. I think it's about an hour long. So sit back, relax, get a cup of tea, get a cup of coffee, and enjoy this episode. Do you rely on the captions a lot on Zoom?
I try not to use the captions, actually. I try not to, but then if I'm shattered or if I've had a big listening day, I will put them on. But I do really try not to, and I try and think like, come on, it's good. It's good practice.
Yeah. Did you have to do kind of lessons and classes for lip reading?
Well, it's the funniest thing, because I think from when I had like the start of my hearing loss to getting an implant, I was completely unaware that I was lip reading. Like, it wasn't until much later, like down the line, that someone said to me, like, "You're such a good lip reader." And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Am I?" And I remember before I got my implant, they said, "Can we do like an assessment, just a quick sort of test?" And they said I scored like, I think it was like 98, 99%. And they were like, "You are a phenomenal lip reader." I was like,
that's so cool. That's like a proper skill, because some people, I don't know if you've seen like the TikTok videos and people say, "Where's the lip reading lady that can decode this? I'm going to come to you now."
Obviously, I'd looked into since seeing that, and obviously, like, exactly that. If I'm watching a video on my phone and there's no sound, or you're like on public transport or something and people are listening and you're watching something, and I'm thinking, yeah, exactly.
When I started working in audiology, I was talking to people normally and I wasn't raising my voice, because you had to kind of learn what the audiogram looks like and how to match how loud you're talking to someone. But I remember like having a really great conversation with this guy and realizing he wasn't listening to me at all. I was like, "Oh," and and the audiologist was like, "He can't hear you. You need to speak a bit louder." I was like, "Oh, okay." But now I've kind of come to realize like how loud to say things. I mean, the thing is, I know it's not how loud you say something that makes the difference. I think it's more the clarity and how you pronounce things. But sometimes you learn to know how to say things. But it takes practice, I feel like, to communicate with different people at different levels.
It really does. And I suppose everyone's unique in that they have their own communication style, isn't it? And I think, but yeah, absolutely, I would totally agree. By facing somebody, just making sure they can see your mouth, you're just natural with your body language. And obviously, if there's background noise or there's things going in the background, that's always going to add other elements of fun and games. There's certain scenarios that people will really struggle with. What would you say is your hardest environment?
I'd definitely say kind of group situations, because at university and just growing up in school, at the start of secondary school, I didn't realise I had a hearing loss or anything like that. I thought tinnitus was normal, and I just genuinely felt like such an outsider. Like, I felt like I had something wrong with me because I wasn't able to have a good, meaningful conversation with someone. And
yeah,
throughout kind of my whole life growing up, I genuinely thought that, oh, I'm just not a likable person at all because I couldn't get on the same wavelength with people. I don't know, I'm sure it's not just me, but it's like you feel like you are on the outside of every conversation.
yeah,
But then at university, when I started realizing that something ain't right here, something's,
yeah,
everyone's not dealing with this ringing after nights
yeah,
out, and I can't
yeah,
join in and talk about the night because of
yeah,
the ringing being so loud. That's when I realized, oh my gosh, like, yeah,
yeah.
something's not good. But yeah, it's
Oh,
like, yeah, was yours a gradual hearing loss? Did I remember that
yeah,
right?
yeah. So I was born with normal hearing, and it wasn't until I was in my early 20s and kind of doctors, they ran MRI scans because they sort of couldn't really explain why it happened. They still to this day don't really know why it happened. I do know that when I was a child, we'd gone on holiday um, to Turkey, and I picked up an infection. It was called osteomyelitis, and it was in my collarbone, and it was really quite severe. Like I think because of how close it was to my heart, they were worried it was going to poison like my whole bloodstream, and it could have killed me because I was only I think 10, 11 at the time. So they put me on a really long course of antibiotics. So I know that some of the doctors have said that could have potentially been the start of, because you were on these antibiotics for such a long period, that might have caused the breakdown of the sort of hearing cells. But they said it could just be one of those things, or nothing really sort of confirmed. But it was, yeah, quite a gradual thing. It was quite a shock. I think I was in denial for a long, long time, like
Yeah.
probably 20 years. Didn't even think it's that bad. But as the hearing started to get worse and worse, that's when the tinnitus started
Yeah, I
and
was going to
presented
say, is
itself.
that something that you've had your whole life, or it just started gradually creeping up?
It, yeah, gradually creeping up with the hearing loss. And I remember at first being kind of like, exactly that, like how I would initially ever likened it to is like when you've gone on a night out or used to go out dancing back in the day, and it would be so loud and you'd be stood next to the speakers, and then you'd come out and get in a taxi or walk home and be like, oh, and literally the next day you have that ringing, but then it would subside. But then I noticed it was like there all the time. And as my hearing got worse, the tinnitus definitely got worse. And yeah, it's such a funny one. I'd heard so many sort of scary things about tinnitus and was a bit like, oh, I don't know how to approach that really. And I think when I knew about it initially, I didn't know where to sort of look for support. And I think it's brilliant now that there is so much more information out there, more support. Like all of the amazing stuff you do, Karis, is
Oh,
be
yeah.
such a lifeline to so many people. Like it really will, because what scares me now is seeing how many sad things are out there and contraptions that you can order online and stick in your ears, and I'm just like, oh, like,
Oh my gosh, yeah. It
so,
is terrifying, isn't it? Like I feel like tinnitus is so misunderstood because a lot of people are searching for an instant cure. And
yeah,
the reason why I repeat myself so much on my social medias is because I get people every single day that are new following me
yeah,
thinking that what I'm saying is something to do with a cure or a quick
yeah,
fix. And,
yeah,
it's so, yeah, there's not enough awareness, but RNID have done so much for it. And I didn't know anything about them when I was really struggling. So, yeah,
yeah,
it's just so good
yeah,
that they're out there and doing
yeah,
what they do. A lot of people with tinnitus, they get to the point of kind of desperation where they're genuinely like, what if I had no hearing? Will my tinnitus
yeah,
disappear? And I think that's
yeah,
so interesting because it is actually the hearing loss which is causing tinnitus as a symptom in a lot of cases.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
from your perspective, when you take off your cochlear implant, does
yeah,
the tinnitus get louder for you?
yes. So my tinnitus, I would say, was gradual. I probably got to the point of habituation and was managing it day to day. Then I got my implant, and I knew going into like getting the implant that they said to me there's quite a possibility that your tinnitus could increase. I was fully aware for that, fully prepared, and I still, absolutely wanted to go ahead. And I'm so glad I did. So now I found that when I take my processor off, which is, I'll show you this bit, I take this bit off. That's literally when my tinnitus is so present. It's literally like, and it begins like that kind of fizzling, sizzling
Oh my God.
sound for me. And my hearing in the last 2 years has dropped as well. And I had a funny kind of experience last year. It was like this time last year, where it felt like I had like a lightsaber in my head. And I was like, I'd literally like touched my head, like, and I was thinking at the time, my implant's malfunctioning, or there's something not right in my head, or like, what is going on? And it literally turned out that my residual hearing in my implanted ear had dropped like further down. And this noise was presenting itself as tinnitus. So it was kind of like my brain scrambling for this sound that we've lost. Which again, it just blows my mind that it's all connected to your
Do you
brain.
have to
And
get the cochlear implant? Do you have to get it reprogrammed every so often? Is that a thing for
so,
it?
so once you have the surgery, like touch wood, you shouldn't have to have like surgery again, but you go and you have audiology appointments, and they call it tuning or remapping, and they tweak the settings, which is phenomenal. They can even do it with my implant. They can even do it like online, like this. I can have a chat with someone on a computer, and they can literally access it. It's phenomenal.
Wow.
For them to be able to tweak things like tune me up, and yeah, just phenomenal, like absolutely phenomenal. So now when I've got my processor in, it's like heaven. As soon as I take it out of an evening, or if I go and wash my hair, I'm literally like, oh, there it is, there's a tinnitus. And I try and always acknowledge it, and then I'm kind of like, and now I'm going to distract myself with
Because
something
it
else.
must be a lot more difficult for you kind of when you go to sleep. And I presume you take the processor out when you go to sleep,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah, yeah,
obviously if you tried to play noise, you wouldn't be
yeah,
able to hear the sound that you're trying to
yeah,
mask it with. So
yeah.
sometimes you
Yeah,
like lean on putting it in if it's like
yes,
a difficult night. Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I would wear it for as long as possible. And sometimes I find I can distract myself by reading or whatever I'm doing in the evening, or watching something with captions. But yeah, it is, yeah, such a funny thing, and it surprised me how much it's kind of changed over the years as well. And but my awareness about it has grown as well. So like you say, I'm feeling like there's things we can put in place, like the RNID downloadable, guide that you can get. I thought that was fantastic. I thought it was really well put together, some great tips. And love what you're bringing out with your journaling club, which I think is going to be absolutely incredible, because I think everyone's going to respond to things in different ways, and everyone's experience is going to be completely different. So I think the more people can try different things and not just think, well, that's it for life and I've got to cope with it and that's it. It's kind of like I think you'd always put a positive spin on that. You can manage it. It maybe will take some time and some effort, but there are ways to cope and to manage. And it's not a quick fix.
No, no. I think that's the biggest thing that people need to understand is that it's not a quick fix.
Yeah.
And I wish that kind of doctors and medical professionals would take that into account a bit more rather than communicating the fact there's no cure, because there is no
Yeah.
cure for
Yeah.
tinnitus directly, but there could be kind of a treatment plan in place for what may be
Yeah.
causing the tinnitus. And
Yeah.
I went my whole life not understanding what tinnitus was. And when I went to doctors and different kind of high street stores, which I won't name, they said, oh, yeah, there's nothing you can do. And then when I found out I had a hearing loss, they then said, oh, you're too young for a hearing loss or any hearing aids. You just get on with it. You'll learn to live with it. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's shocking though, because the more I've spoken about this, and every time I post about that particular subject in terms
Yeah.
of doctors not communicating things properly, so
Mm-hmm.
many people relate. And
Yeah.
I just don't understand why it's still
Mm-hmm.
such a big thing, this day and age. There's so
Yeah.
much information about tinnitus out there now. Why aren't
Yeah.
doctors taking that into account? Like they
Yeah.
surely need a bit more training in terms of how to
Yeah.
communicate what it is, because it's terrifying, when you first understand what it is. And
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And people are so, I think when you first kind of experience it, you just literally are like, this is so scary, because what does it mean? Is this forever? Is this going to go? Like, why is this happening? There's just so many questions. And I think to go to see a doctor or someone in the medical profession just to sort of say, well, that's tinnitus, there's no cure, on you go, get on with it. Like in this day and age, like,
yeah.
no,
But I think,
you know,
the fact that it's a noise in your head, I think that downplays it so much,
Yeah,
and maybe some people just think, oh, it's just the noise, they'll get on with it. But it's
yeah.
not just the noise. Like it's literally like
Mm.
having, I can't, it's so hard to put it into words because how do you kind of describe it? It's like having a strobe light on in your house that you can't turn off. Like it's that annoying. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
No,
Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I mean, you do
That's
know
a
what
good
I mean, but for
good
other
analogy.
people, yeah, for other people, they just sometimes don't
Yeah,
realize that it's not just a noise because it
yeah.
impacts you every single day. It impacts how you felt the rhythm of music at all. Was that a challenge? You probably get that question asked so much, but
Yeah,
yeah, so interesting.
definitely. I think when I was teaching, one biggest thing that I used to find is people used to come into my classroom or studio I'd be in, and they'd kind of be like, "Charlotte, that music's so loud."
Oh,
And I used to think, and like looking back now, I think, oh, God, that's so awful because I had like children in the class and
oh,
bless it. Even in fact, one class I do remember a child that literally put a hand to like her ears because it must have been like so loud, and which makes me just think now, like, oh, and I'm like, because I've got a son of my own who's 11, I'm always kind of like, turn your headsets down, or like, be careful with your ears, be safe, be safe. So I think I probably had the music up too loud. I would struggle so much hearing the children's voices because my hearing loss was all the high frequencies initially. So obviously that's like pretty much children's voices. So everything they'd be saying to me, I'd literally be like staring at their mouths. But in terms of like music enjoyment, I didn't notice that much difference, I would say, until it sort of got right towards the end and probably around like lockdown times. And I'd noticed that I couldn't make out any new music. I couldn't make out any of the lyrics. And like I think even going to like the pub or something, or going out for a drink with friends or something, and they'd all be singing along to like a song that had come on, and I'd be like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
"What is this?" Or I'd sing along to like what I thought it was, and they'd be like, "What? That's not the words."
Did they understand though at the time?
Yeah, they were really good, but I'd be like, "Oh." Um, so yeah, quite funny. Or even sometimes like I think children would be singing songs even, and I'd look at like the printout of lyrics, and I'd be thinking, oh, I didn't know it said that, or is that appropriate?
Oh,
Um,
dear
so
me.
yeah, definitely my hearing definitely got me in trouble a couple of times. I know I've told this story before, but we had a group of children sat around. They were telling us all their news, what they've been up to. And one particular child, must have been only about 6 or 7, had said, I thought they had said to me that they'd been away on holiday and they'd had a really lovely time. And I was like, that's amazing. I'm so pleased to hear that. And the classroom assistant was with me, was like, Charlotte, no. And I was like, what? And she said, she just said that she was on holiday. And when she was swimming, she nearly drowned. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, no.
God, no.
I was like, no, no, no good. But yeah, got me in trouble like quite a lot, saying like guessing things. I think that's how I covered it up, guessing. But
What's the
sorry,
big- I'll go for it.
I
Sorry,
was
go
gonna
ahead.
say, in terms of music, actually, now I've got my implant. I started dancing again, like in an adult sort of dance fit class,
I've seen
which
that
I
on your
love,
Instagram. Yeah.
which I absolutely love. Like, and I thought I don't care what my dance ability is like now. I'm older, but I just absolutely love being in that room because I can hear so many different instruments. I can hear the lyrics of the
Oh,
songs, and like the experience is just. I always feel really emotional afterwards, and I just think, oh, so lucky that I can access the sound and the music, and this whole experience just feels really, really special.
yeah. There's something about doing things that you love that it just
Yeah,
makes you feel so full
yeah,
and just
yeah,
happy. Like
so
today I
true.
went pottery painting and I
Oh,
haven't been like doing something creative like with like physical media for a while since we did the RNID thing, but
yeah,
which we'll talk about later. But like you get into a flow state with things
yeah,
like that, whether it's dancing, whether it's cooking, whether
mm,
it's painting. And yeah, it's like no joy like that will ever be stopped by your hearing ability or tinnitus or any disability that you have in life. Because if you
Yeah.
truly enjoy it, that
Yeah.
overpowers everything. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think, yeah, hobbies are so important, no matter
Mm.
who you are, or, even if you're at such a bad stage in life, like just understand that do little things, work up to that hobby. And once you start doing it, you'll realize, wow, like
Yeah.
this is the fulfillment that I've been
Yeah.
needing. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
it's so
100%.
I'm glad that you got something that you enjoy like that.
Yeah.
No,
I love it. I love
never
it.
done dancing. I mean, I've done Just Dance on the Wii.
Ah, perfect. Everyone
Yeah.
can dance.
No, there's something about moving your body which makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
And like every time you go to the gym, for example, you always come
Yeah.
out feeling, oh, I'm glad I
Yeah.
went.
Yeah.
But like, you
Yeah.
always don't want to do it to start off with. So there's definitely something psychological there for sure.
Yeah. Definitely.
Uh,
Yeah.
shall we talk about RNID?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Did you
What a
enjoy
fun
it?
day.
Yeah, it
It
was
was
so fun.
such a fun day. I love the fact that we kind of spoke about our journeys, kind of like beforehand. And then obviously like at the studios, I remember thinking like, oh no, am I gonna, I've not done arts like that for years and years, I always loved kind of like doodling and things, but it was such a different experience. But I thought they just made us feel so comfortable, and I loved how it was like interpreting tinnitus, and it was like our version of what we thought. Um, it was just so nice to meet you and Dougie,
Oh, it
and
was
hear
it was
your story.
lovely. It was so nice. I think it was like Alex was an absolute star
Oh,
and Becca. They're just
it's so nice.
like RNID, like the team are just so
Yeah,
understanding, so
yeah,
inclusive, and like
yeah,
it's the little things. It's like when they were just looking at us to talk, like they were
yeah,
so aware of
yeah,
people's abilities. And it's just, yeah, I think that's how everyone should be.
yeah. I totally agree. Like in terms of RNID and Alex and Becca, like they made us feel really, I felt really safe with them like straight away. Like I didn't feel like I'm gonna have to advocate for myself here and be like, oh, can you
Yeah.
look at, they just exactly that. They had that awareness. And sometimes I think in my head, I don't want to have to be like, can you do this, or can you just accommodate this? Like I just want people to help me a bit, without having to be like, I need help right now. I just think
Yeah.
sometimes I'm not very good at advocating for myself and being like, I have to feel comfortable with someone first, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Do you
Sometimes that can
feel
be hard.
like you explain yourself a lot to people?
I think I think when I meet people like for the first time, and naturally, like I'm all for like questions. I'd rather people ask questions and find out about it because, as I say, everyone's situation is so different, and the spectrum of hearing loss and tinnitus is so vast that I think it's always best to ask the person. Um, but yeah, sometimes I think you can sort of feel like, oh, I feel like I've already spoken about this, or
Yeah.
having to drive that point, home again. But I'd rather people ask. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like sometimes when people say to me like, "Oh, what is tinnitus, by the way?" I feel like I'm boring them sometimes when I explain it, or
yeah,
I'm being like, "Oh, look at me," kind of thing. But I'm not. I'm just trying to get
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like a bit of education out there. I
yeah,
don't know. Yeah, I've had people kind of online say, "Why is it tinnitus that you're always talking about?" I'm like, "Hello, have you even seen my page? Like, this is what I've been doing for the past 3 bloody years." But I think,
yeah,
I will never get bored of
yeah,
explaining what tinnitus is and explaining the struggles that people have with it, because there's
yeah,
always one new person that comes onto my like page and they're like, "Oh my gosh, like I feel seen." But like
yeah,
that's all I ever
yeah,
wanted when I
yeah,
didn't know where to turn. Because I
yeah,
remember, like, I'm gonna get deep now, but like when I was really suffering at uni, I
yeah,
honestly I couldn't hear anything. Like I could hear things,
yeah,
certainly my tinnitus, but when
mm,
someone was like stood in front of me talking, there was just no chance. There was
yeah,
absolutely no chance whatsoever. And
mm,
it was like I didn't know what to do, and it got to the point where I was like, right, who do I call? Like, I didn't know
mm,
Tinnitus UK had a phone line at this point, and then it said, "Oh, call like this mental health charity," and I
yeah,
called them and I like said all my struggles, and they were like, oh, have you gone on a walk? Have you done this? Have you done that? And it's just like the standard kind of advice, which is fair enough if you don't have tinnitus and whatnot. But they
Yeah,
didn't even know what tinnitus was.
yeah,
And I feel like mental health charities should understand tinnitus a lot more because a lot of people with tinnitus don't know where to turn straight
yeah,
away. And tinnitus and like links with depression and anxiety is so strong,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
like why don't these mental health charities really understand
yeah,
tinnitus? They should.
yeah,
You know what I mean? But
absolutely. Yeah,
that's a whole
absolutely.
other subject
Yeah,
we dissect for bloody
yeah,
hours, I feel like. Yeah,
yeah, 100%. I can so resonate with that. And I think also, like you're saying, feeling like you're repeating yourself. And sometimes I think I worry thinking, oh, I don't want people to think, oh, yeah, she goes on about her ears
yeah,
again or whatever. But then I think when I was going through my, like the start of my journey, I couldn't find any information online and I couldn't find anyone that I could relate to. And I thought I just wish there'd been more information. So I just think if it, like you say, if it can help one person, then it's worth talking about and worth sharing. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I think when I first met you, with RNID and Dougie, there's something about just meeting people who genuinely understand what you're
yeah,
going through. It's like you don't even need to talk to the person beforehand to feel like you have a connection with them, which is
yeah,
so lovely.
yeah,
And yeah, I think seeing people online for one, and you sharing your story as well is so inspiring because it makes people in the same situation realize that you're not alone and you can live a normal life. And
yes,
I never thought I'd be able to live a normal life. And the first thing that I did was I searched like people who have tinnitus that are famous. I think a lot of
yeah,
people do that. And
yeah,
yeah, it just gives you a sense of peace knowing that you could be like these people. So I think the more people that talk about their experience, the better, to be honest.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I can't imagine how difficult it must have been for you being at uni, like at that point in your life to like it must have really been
Yeah,
hard.
it was like I mean it was like which I'm sure you've experienced after a night out when your
Mm,
tinnitus is really loud. Everyone kind of experiences it for a brief moment and
yeah,
then the next day they're fine. But for me, it was like my spike was through the roof, and for two
yeah,
weeks I'd be praying it would go down. But that was
mm,
it was difficult because at uni I hadn't got hearing aids at that point. I think I
yeah,
bought some that were just online from this website with no prescription because I didn't know better. I was just
yeah,
desperate for something to cure the
yeah.
tinnitus.
I'll try anything. Yeah,
I was
yeah,
honestly like willing to try anything at that point. But I remember going to lectures and sitting there and not hearing anything what people were saying. And
yeah,
I'd end up kind of going back home, going back to the dorm and being like, I'm not going to a lecture again. Like, I'm not hearing anything. They're not wearing a bloody microphone. And then
yeah,
I was like, you know what? I'm going to go today and I'm going to see if I learn anything. And I went to try and prove to myself that, oh, it's not a waste of time. And again, it proved to me that it was a waste of time.
mm,
But, I think it's just the combination of tinnitus and the hearing loss
yeah,
combined. It's like, is there even like any point? I think I did kind of feel like I had, what's the word? Pulled a short straw and just felt like I was,
yeah,
behind everyone because I couldn't hear a damn thing.
mm,
But yeah,
mm,
it was difficult in
yeah,
that sense. It was, yeah,
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah,
very accessible. But there were times where I had lecturers that didn't have microphones on. They were the most
yeah,
softly spoken person in the
yeah,
world. And then I would ask my friends, like, can you even hear them? And they'd be like, no. I'm like, well, I haven't got a chance in hell. Like, what is the
yeah,
point of any
no,
of this
yeah,
doing it? Like, it's stupid. But yeah.
no,
Have you
yeah,
had experiences like that?
yeah, definitely. Like, I think. I think it's great now that we have access to so much more accessibility in terms of like Zoom, team calls, we've got captions, everything out online is far more sort of
Mm,
captioned. But exactly that, I think I've been to talks before or trainings, and literally someone stood at the front and I'm trying to get to the front of the room to make sure I can lip read. Um, and see them and like they'll kind of be maybe marching around the space. They've not got a microphone on. They might have like I tend to struggle with either like a really strong Scottish accent or an Irish accent is probably the hardest for me just because of the shape of the sounds. So in those situations, and you literally have that like panic of like, oh, I'm not going to take this in because so you kind of you get your brain goes into sort of almost like panic mode because you're thinking, I should be now taking on board and digesting what they're saying, but I'm just freaking out. Am I going to be able to do anything? Or what's this background noise going on?
Yeah, there's been so many like instances with myself where you can just look at someone and just completely look at them and not have any thoughts in your mind and just completely space out. But I still do that now. It's like, right, I literally can't even, there's no point even trying.
Yeah, I
Oh,
need to concentrate. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes I find if it's like there's been a lot happening, I mean, listening fatigue for anyone, I think,
yeah, I was gonna say
is
that.
massive. Yeah, but I think having hearing loss, having tinnitus, like some days it's just exhausting. Like you're just like, oh,
This one might put you on the spot. What's
mm.
something people don't talk about enough when it comes to cochlear implants?
Oh,
Hmm.
what do people not talk about with cochlear implants? I think I would say the biggest thing that I found that I've come across is when you've had an implant. I think for a lot of people, they think you have the implant and it's like instant hearing. It's just like for um, like putting on a pair of glasses, for example. And as you know, in your role, hearing is a completely different beast. And I think it's having that awareness that cochlear implants are not quite the same as hearing aids. It's a different way of hearing. You're not hearing through natural sound and it's amplifying that sound. It's completely different signals to the brain. It's more of an electric way of hearing. That's the best way I would describe it. So I think it's having that awareness that it's a different sound. So I think the main questions I will get asked are, do things sound mechanical? Does it sound robotic? I think there's a lot of this spoke about, before you get your implant and then you get the surgery and then sort of 3 or 4 weeks later, usually you get switched on or activated, they call it. So that gives you a chance to like heal where you've had the operation because they kind of cut behind your ear and place in the internal part. And then the external part is attached by a magnet. Once that magnet's attached, that's when everything comes to life.
It's
The
amazing.
magic
What
begins.
baffled me, I don't know if I watched like some fake news, so correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Like the cochlear implant, does it have like a obviously the cochlea looks like a snail. Does it have a
Yes.
like a tube thing that goes inside the cochlea?
Yes. And yeah, that's what acts as like the pretend cochlear. Yeah, that's like the electric part, and it literally looks like when they show you it before they put it in, it's literally like a bit of
It's tiny,
a
really, really
like a
small.
wiggly worm, like a bit of like fishing. I was like, that's in my ear, so it's
Amazing.
tiny, and that holds in my ear. I've got 16 electrodes, and that's all the different frequencies, and so that's when you go and have it like tuned and mapped. They tweak those different electrodes.
That's amazing.
Um, I
Does
mean,
cochlear, yeah, go for it.
I was just say, I still can't believe like I've got it and like the surgeon and the audiologist have told me a million times, but I still can't get my head around how fascinating it is and how incredible the technology works.
I just couldn't believe like the human body in general, like because you've got your cochlea, and if you unravel it, you've got the high frequencies all the way down to the low being in the middle, and that's why
Yep.
people, when they have age-related hearing loss, they lose the high frequencies first because it's
Yep.
like a doormat that you rub your feet on every time you come into the house, and it just breaks down, and
Oh, I
it
love
just
that. Yeah.
that's the way
Yeah.
I describe it to people, but it
Yeah.
amazes me. It's
Brilliant.
like how is the human body designed such an amazing kind of, I mean, it's not obviously faultless because why on earth would they do it like that? Why can't it just be like a
Yeah.
one long thing with all of the frequencies not raveled up in a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
fascinating. It really is.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how
It took me a long time to realize that because I didn't realize when they sort of said to me, "You've got a classic ski slope audiogram," and I remember looking at my first audiogram and I was like, I don't know what that means. Like they sent me away with it when I was 24 and said, "You've got the hearing of your hearing's like that of a 70-year-old. See ya." And I was like, I
yeah.
didn't know what it meant. So seeing that ski slope, and now like it's taken me a long time to realize exactly that your high frequencies are more inclined to go first. Which yeah, I love that analogy. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah.
But no, it's like again, the human body is like it's kind of stupid though as well because I don't know if you know much about like the fluid in the ear where you've
Mm-hmm.
got the perilymph and the endolymph, but if
Yeah.
they combine, it's
Mm-hmm.
ototoxic.
Yes,
Like, why would they put them close to each other? I
I
don't know.
know. Who
But yeah.
came up with that idea?
Have you got a picture of your audiogram, by the way?
I have actually. I've got the last one that I've got.
Because I
Do
don't
you
think
remember
I've
what?
actually seen your audio. Is it one
I'll
ear
send.
that is
I'll send you.
affected for
So
you?
my hearing. I'll find you my audiograms and I'll send you them. And then I'm going on Tuesday. Actually, I'm terrified. I'm going to get an update, like my annual review. So I'll be getting a hearing test, and I'm fully prepared that they're going to say that I think I've got to the point where my hearing's dropped so much in my implanted side that I'm going to have to go to full um, electrode mode, which I'm like,
Now you sound like a super kind of character.
oh, bionic.
Yeah, that's it.
I
Bionic
don't, I
character.
don't. So I'm going to have a see if I can find it, but I will find them and I'll send them to you, and then you can have a little nosy. You'll be able to tell me probably more than I know myself. But my left and my right ear were very, very similar ski slope. And then since having my implanted side now dropped to like, well, it's below, I can't remember how many decibels, but I know that it's not at like optimum position for having a hybrid model, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Reassuring to know though that there's things out there if your hearing does decline. Like it can just
yeah,
be reprogrammed or
oh,
switched
I
on to a
know,
different mode. It's yeah, amazing.
absolutely. I
I think
will,
a lot of people are scared about that when they get hearing aids. They're like, oh my gosh, like, am I
yeah,
stuck? Am I reliant on them now? Do I have to keep paying for them to be adjusted? And like, you actually don't. Like, you can have the same hearing aids and keep getting them reprogrammed.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sure it's probably similar then in your circle.
yeah. Definitely. And I think I would say to anyone that's got any kind of hearing devices to not be afraid to ask for a follow-up, to ask for like, it's surprised me in the time I've used like any of the technology in the last, what, maybe 15 years I've been using hearing aids and now my implant, but the tiniest tweak can make a massive difference. Like even I remember I've got a hearing aid on this side of on the other side to my implant, which really helps. It doesn't help amplify sound so much as in what's coming in terms of speech, but it helps balance the sound. So, for example,
Yeah.
I'm streaming this now via Bluetooth to my implant and my hearing aid, and the sound's like really balanced. It feels like brilliant quality. And if I'm sort of streaming music or podcasts, anything on TV or whatever, it's just really, it's basically like surround sound. But I know when they first wanted to give me this hearing aid, because I'd not had much success with hearing aids, because they hadn't been able to sort of amplify and fill in the gaps that I was kind of missing. I remember them saying to me like, we're going to fit it, and I was like, well, I'm going to leave this appointment, I'm just going to take it out. But it was surprising because they gave me a different, like a really tiny dome fit in at the end. And I must have small ear canals. And it was literally just this really comfortable, tiny dome that they fit. And as soon as it was like really snug, it felt comfortable. And I was like, I cannot believe what a difference that's made, like just from having that tiny adjustment
Yeah.
with the
Did you have
dome.
hearing aids in both ears before you moved on to the cochlear implant, or did you go straight to the cochlear implant?
Yeah, I was using hearing aids. First of all, it was just on one side, on my left. Then I went to two. And then, to be honest, by lockdown 2020, I'd kind of just given up. I was like, I don't like them. I'm just going to manage with lip reading and captions, and I'm not going to bother. And then it was when I started the journey for the cochlear implant. So obviously they're quite keen for you to have used hearing aids to go through the implant process. So I thought they might have told me off for that. But they did say to me, we can understand why you haven't been using them, because they haven't been able to make any difference whatsoever because of the shape of my hearing loss. And obviously it does help to stimulate your auditory signals, is it? Is that
Yeah.
right? Am I saying that right? Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. I'm still learning. But no,
Yeah.
it's like a workout though, isn't it, for your
Yeah.
ears and your brain when you get hearing
Yeah.
aids? Because I remember when I first got mine, it's like it's testing first of all your patience, but
Yeah.
also yeah, it's like the workout for your brain and your ears because when you first get them, it can feel really itchy. I don't know about
Mm,
you, But like my
Yeah.
ears, like I was constantly pressing the receiver down because I still do that now and then.
Yeah.
But like that was so annoying to start off with. But
Yeah.
it's like getting used to it sounds like robotic to start
Yeah.
off with, and then now it honestly sounds like just normal. Like
Yeah.
I can't even begin to explain.
Yeah.
This sounds really great.
Yeah.
I might not put this in the actual recording, but like sometimes I'll go to Dave and I'll say, put these in your ears. Like, how cool does that sound? And then he's like, it just sounds really robotic. I'm like, no, listen to the music. The music sounds really good with them in. And he's like, darling,
Right.
I haven't got any hearing loss. It's not going to do anything. I'm like, oh, yeah, but still. Because
But still
sometimes,
try
yeah,
it.
sometimes like I had no, I tried some. What were they? Oticon. Yeah, I
Oh
tried some,
yeah.
the Oticon Allure. I tried those for like a month
Yeah.
or two, and they have an incredible music setting to the point where I was like, oh my God, like this sounds better than like just normal, like with like turning the
Wow.
volume to max. Because the
Yeah.
treble was like, yeah, it's so good.
Oh wow.
Those
Wow.
Phonak don't have it, so
Uh,
bit
which
annoying.
ones have you got? Have you got Phonak?
I've got. Whoa. Oh, I've got the Phonak Spheres, these ones.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's grim, sorry. Covered in hair.
How about the? That's always the way, isn't it? Anyone that ever says to me like, "Oh, can I have a look at your hearing aids?" and
You
then
take
take it
them out.
out, full of
Just
a wax. I'm like,
But yeah, I've got the vented domes. So ooh,
yeah. Oh, that's the same as literally same as mine.
they're so comfy. Which ones are yours? Yours Phonak?
Yes. So this is Phonak. I don't know what kind it is. It's all it's listed in my app is Phonak
Phonak.
Link.
Yeah, something like that. I don't really use the app, do you?
I use the app more so for my processor because if I'm in different situations, you can change your program. So if I'm
Yeah.
in the car, if I'm a passenger in a car, I can change the program so it bounces the sound from my non-implanted side round to my
Wow.
implant, which is amazing. And I've been speaking to other people. There's a music program that some people use. There is like a calm setting for if you're in like a really noisy environment, and there is an off-ear option that you can use if you've got because there's a waterproof battery that you can use to go like swimming and things. So you need to have a different setting for. So
Wow.
yeah, there's quite a lot. Yeah,
That's so cool. I
little
didn't realize that your cochlear implant would be able to pair up with the hearing aid, but I guess it makes sense. And obviously your phone as well. It's technology
yeah,
these days. It's just amazing, isn't
so
it,
clever, so
really?
clever. So yeah,
But no, I don't really use my app. I think I only use it for the battery. I think
yeah,
at the start of having them, it was very much a novelty for me to keep messing around
yeah,
with the settings, but I've just
yeah,
came to realize they do their own thing, so I just let them do it.
yeah,
Because if I press a
yeah.
setting, I usually press the wrong one, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I
What
done?
have I done?
But they're so good. Like the background noise element is what I've always struggled with because the
Yeah,
cookie bite hearing loss is like it I don't know, it makes everything mumble. Like everyone just sounds mumbly. And then when
yeah.
background noise is thrown into it, everyone sounds like background noise. And
Okay.
then what the spheric speech does, it blocks out background noise or anyone out of well, it puts a sphere around you of 1.5 meters, essentially.
Wow.
And then it lowers the background noise so then I can actually lock into conversations because I
Yeah,
remember having my first ever pair of hearing aids, and I went to meet a friend in a coffee shop. I was like, oh my God, like I've made such a bad impression with this new friend. Like, because I genuinely was just like, oh my God, get me out of here. Like, because
yeah,
everything
yeah,
blurred into one. So
yeah.
having that setting, oh my God, it's changed my life. It really has.
Oh,
So
that's so
good.
cool. But yeah, so yeah, anyone definitely look at the different programs, the tweaks, because
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah.
tweaks that
I
can be
think
made.
anyone with tinnitus should definitely get their hearing checked, or if they've been somewhere and they said that there's
Yeah,
a hearing loss, but you shouldn't worry about it. A
yeah,
hearing loss, no matter what, is not normal. You know,
yeah,
people may say, "Oh, it's normal for your age," but for your
yeah,
age, it's either in range or it's not in range, no matter what
yeah,
age you are. And we
yeah,
get so many people come into clinic where they're like 70 years old, they've got a hearing loss, but they've been somewhere that said, "Oh, yeah, it's normal for your age," but essentially, you can do something about it. You can get your
yeah,
hearing
yeah,
almost kind of like back to where it should be, but you were
yeah.
never going to give the hearing back essentially, but you can ultimately change your life with what you've got
Yeah,
left and improve
yeah.
it. And it really
Um,
annoys me when people have been dismissed 100%.
yeah, yeah. And the thing is with hearing, I think why a hearing test not the same as eye test in a way because earlier like intervention can make all the difference. And I didn't realize until probably my implant journey that if I remember looking into the process to start with, and I remember thinking, well, I'll look at the process, and if it's an option, I can do that when I'm older. But I didn't realize they sort of said, if we're going to do it, we need to do it now because you'll benefit,
Yeah.
the younger you are. And I was kind of like, oh, right, I hadn't thought of that. The more your hearings deteriorate, let's catch you, as soon as we can, sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, intervention and I think, like you saying, like protecting your ears, and I think people are a lot more aware now of looking after their hearing when they're out and about, and like musicians, for example, in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I just wish that, yeah, I think the main thing is I just wish that some medical professionals would genuinely like just communicate things a bit better, because I went to a high street store for my first ever hearing test and they said, yeah, you've got a loss, but yeah, you've actually the words they said to me was you've got a tricky loss to treat. I was like, oh, okay. He was like, yeah, but you're fine, you're young. But I think the reason why they didn't want to help me is because a cookie bite hearing loss is one of the hardest ones to program a hearing aid to, and they just can't be bothered with the faff. And
Yeah,
it's just, yeah, it's shocking. And I think if you've ever gone and got your hearing tested and they've said, oh, you've got a loss, go and get a second opinion. Because
yeah,
if I stopped there and I didn't do anything about it, I wouldn't have hearing aids now, and I would probably still be back where I was when I really just didn't know what to do with myself. So yeah, they've changed my
yeah.
life entirely.
Mm,
Really
I love
good.
that. I love that. And I didn't realize, am I right in thinking with cookie bite loss, in terms of your hearing aids, because they have to constantly sort of switch between that high and the middle and the low ranges, that's why, because your hearing aids having to work so hard to adapt to those.
Yeah,
Is that kind of like,
I don't really know because I had real ear measurements done with like the
yeah,
tubes in your ear, making sure that it's
ah,
precise to your prescription. And I think that's made all the difference, because
yeah,
some of the hearing aids I've had, they didn't have that, and
right,
they weren't that helpful in terms of, first of all, tinnitus and, actually hearing what people were saying. But I think
yeah,
getting the prescription spot on is,
yeah,
the main thing. And yeah, I
yeah,
think that's why people don't want to help treat cookie bite loss sometimes, or they try and put it off because it's all about having the right equipment and the best
right.
training and software for it. So
Mm,
yeah, I think most audiologists, I don't know, I'm maybe just like categorizing now, but some audiologists are probably more prepared for people with the most common, just a general
yeah,
slow presbyacusis loss. So yeah, when
yeah,
you get a cookie bite thrown in there, they're like, oh my God, what's going on?
yeah,
Because I
oh,
think
right,
out of the
yeah,
time that I've worked in clinic, I've only seen about two people with the same style loss as me. So
okay,
I
yeah,
don't think it's very common at all.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
really, really fortunate.
Yeah, yeah. I'd only ever heard of that term. I'd only come across it this year because obviously a lady that I work with, she's my boss, and she's got cookie bite loss as well, and it's been so eye-opening to see her journey with tinnitus, and now being sort of told and diagnosed that she's got cookie bite. It's just, yeah, fascinating to see how hard she's had to work herself to find out information and to find any support.
Yeah. With
Yeah,
cookie bite hearing loss, I think you have it since birth. It's a hereditary
yeah,
thing. So once you get your hearing back with a click of a button, it's gonna take time, because it's like
yeah,
learning to walk again, essentially. Like
yeah,
when you're young, like you don't suddenly get up and start running.
yeah,
It takes
yeah.
takes time.
With in the people that I've come across with cochlear implants, because I think I was quite, for a lot of people thought I was quite unusual because I did have some residual hearing to get an implant, whereas most people that I've come across that have an implant have been like either born profoundly deaf or have completely lost their hearing, sort of, through illness or whatever. Um, so for me to think, well, everyone's experience is different because either some people have never heard sounds before to then have to learn them with a cochlear implant, or some people have had access to sounds before, like myself. So then it was almost like you put the pieces of the puzzle together at different paces, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's amazing because every journey is different.
Yeah,
Everyone's journey, and yeah, you don't know, you know, what they've been through in order for them to get to where they
yeah,
are today. And I think no
yeah,
matter who you are, if you've got a hearing loss, it is a struggle, and it's,
yeah,
a completely valid struggle. And at the
yeah,
end of it, I feel like you become a much, more confident person. And if at the start of it, I didn't feel confident at all. I didn't
Yeah.
feel
Yeah.
comfortable. I felt, scared and confused. But then you get used to it, and you're like, wow, like this is ultimately
Yeah.
helping me, and it's there to
Yeah.
help me, and then
Yeah.
you accept it, which is good.
Definitely. It is. So,
Yeah.
Karis, tell us about what's happening with the journaling club. How
Oh.
will it work? You on the spot.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, the journaling club, I've always journaled. I've been journaling since I was like 12, and
Yeah.
it's always been a great outlet for me just to kind of work through what I'm feeling. Like
Yeah.
even if it's just writing down random stuff,
Yeah.
it helped me feel more, accepting when I get a bad thought about tinnitus, for example, because I'll see it on a page and then I close the book. It's
Yes.
something as simple as that. And I I love doing it as a practice and I always have. And I was like, why aren't I sharing this with people? Why haven't I, made
Yeah.
something where I can do this as a group? Because what would make this better and more enjoyable for not only me is just doing it as a group with someone
Yeah.
else and
Yeah.
give someone else the tool that's helped me so much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think journaling's beneficial for it, whether you have tinnitus or not, that it's
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
great,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think it'll be such a nice sense of community, like you say, for people to come together. And I think it's a brilliant thing to jot down your thoughts and
It keeps
exactly
you
that.
busy, and there's so many exercises you can do with journaling, like whether it's kind of like making yourself a letter, for example, for a future version of
Yeah,
yourself, and writing to yourself from who you are, or writing from a future version of yourself, hypothetically, to who you
yeah,
are today. I think, yeah, those kind of
yeah,
things, like we were talking about earlier, hobbies and just keeping your mind distracted and getting in a flow
yeah,
state with something helps in so many
yeah,
ways, and not
yeah,
just for your hearing loss or your tinnitus, but like in your just general
yeah,
well-being and your mindset. So
yeah,
yeah, all of that combined, I
yeah.
think that's why I started it for sure. So
Definitely, definitely, yeah, absolutely. And I know I think I said RNID, my biggest, I think, therapy has definitely been yoga because I didn't realize how much I need to sort of calm down my nervous system sometimes and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
quite sort of like go, go, go. And but I think journaling is quite reflective of that as well, isn't it? Because you kind of almost forced to pause and think
yeah.
and ruminate and so I think
We
it's
don't
just
slow down enough. We do not
yes,
slow down enough
no,
as human beings.
no,
We just don't. And
no,
I feel
definitely.
like a lot of people, when they do slow down, they feel like they're doing something wrong or they should be
Yeah,
stressing about something, which
yeah,
isn't
yeah.
good for tinnitus either.
No,
So,
no,
force them to
no.
sit and do something and feel
Yeah.
productive with it. So, yeah. What gives you hope now, even on tough days that you have?
I think the biggest thing for me, I would say, is knowing that there are other people out there that are like me, that have tinnitus. It's that feeling of you're not alone, you're not on your own. Um, there are ways to cope. There are things you can do, things you can put into place to support you. So I think that'd be my biggest takeaway for that is that you're not alone
Do you
and you
have
can
any
do things about
mantras when
it.
you have a bad day? Do you say anything to yourself that pushes you through?
Yeah, I think my biggest mantra is you can do this. It's just
Yeah,
as simple as that. You can do this.
you've
Like
done it
you've
before, you
got
can
this.
do it again.
Yeah.
If you could go back and sit with yourself at one of the hardest points, what would you say?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think it's a really hard thing, isn't it? Because it's such an emotional roller coaster. I think going through your hearing journey, your tinnitus journey, and I think I'm naturally quite a positive person. I tend to always be like upbeat, and obviously sometimes you can put on a bit of a performance with people, so that they don't feel uncomfortable. Sometimes I think I'm quite guilty of that. I'm being like everything's fine. Maybe it's the performer in me, but then behind closed doors, I would be really upset and sort of say to my mom and my husband and my family, why I used to be like, why me? Why me? And get really upset about it behind closed doors. But I think just having that network, having people around you, and I think I would just sort of say to myself that you will get through it and it will get better. And God, if I had sort of known then what I know now, like especially going before my implant, I remember thinking, am I making a big mistake or is it going to be okay? Or it's all the unknowns of what will it be like. And even for people getting hearing aids or people going through tinnitus management, like what's it going to be like? It's all that unknown But I think if I had known back then what it's like now, and to think my life could be completely different, completely like changed, but like in such a good way, like, oh my goodness.
That is honestly
Yeah.
such an inspiring story because a cochlear implant isn't a small surgery. And I can imagine you were absolutely terrified, but like now you're at such an amazing place and
Yeah.
your whole vibe is just so uplifting. And anyone watching
Um,
this that is in a similar situation where they're like, oh my gosh, do I go and do it? Do I actually get myself sorted? Well, they can
yeah.
look at you and be like, oh my gosh, like look at how amazing
Oh,
she is and how she's talking, how
oh,
positive. So yeah, it's an inspiring
oh.
thing.
Oh, bless you there. Well, it certainly changed my life, and I think anyone going through the process, I know it is different for everyone, and I can only say off my experience, but it just completely changed my life, my family's life. Yeah, and like in terms of my tinnitus as well, like thank goodness I've got things in place to help support that as well.
It's having the toolkit, isn't it? And
Yeah,
you
it,
always, I feel like you're always learning. And
yeah,
those people that want a quick fix, it's not going to happen because it takes time to learn anything. And
yeah,
the more you reinforce things and the more you reinforce different like mental techniques or,
yeah,
you know, different hobbies that you enjoy, the more you
yeah,
do these things, the more easier it becomes and the more
yeah,
resilient you feel. So I think
yeah,
that is the main thing. Like it's never a quick fix. And you can't become the person you're going to be in 10
yeah.
years just like that, you know.
No,
And
no,
I still have down days and everyone has down days. You're never not going to have a down day, no matter who you are, no matter
yeah,
how wealthy you are, no matter
yeah,
how much you've got in life, you're always going to have
yeah,
a down day. So if you're seeking a life that has no down days and it's all perfect with tinnitus, you're seeking something that doesn't exist. So
yeah,
I think
yeah,
habituation is a huge word. I don't know if you ever saw that word on your journey and thinking, how do I get there? But
yeah. I want
what did
this.
you think it was when you first kind of learnt about tinnitus
Yeah, yeah.
habituation?
I remember the first time I'd heard that word and was literally like, well, and I remember thinking, there's no way this could ever be like, I could be okay with this. I remember
Yeah,
thinking that, like, in reaching for the stars here, what? And but then to think over time, even before I got my implant, it had happened without even me knowing, and that was, I think, by you say, keeping doing what I was doing, having those systems in place, having that distraction. Obviously, I was working with music and things, so I was constantly around that, and it sort of it managed it. But yeah, I remember that first time I heard that word, I was just like,
yeah.
what, what,
What does
what?
habituation look like to you? Because I know there's people probably listening thinking, what is habituation? Is it a
Yeah,
cure? Like, is it an
yeah,
end goal?
yeah. So I would say it's definitely not an end goal. It is not a fix. It's not, putting a plaster on something. It's very much where you have your tinnitus, you've got that awareness, but you've got, like you say, that toolkit in place to manage it. So I would say it's learning how to have that awareness and manage it. In my mind, that's what it would mean to me.
Completely agree. I think I used to I used to say like it was a end goal. I used to say to people, yeah, habituation is the end goal, but it's never going to, end. I feel like when I used to say that, it's communicating things wrong. And now what I say is you're never gonna be at the end of your journey because you're constantly living, you're constantly doing new
Yeah,
experiences. Habituation and tinnitus in general is just a roller coaster of ups and downs. And the
yeah,
difference is when you're habituated from tinnitus is more you no longer have that negative response
yes,
like 90% of the time, whereas
yeah,
you're more positive, you're more optimistic with it when
yeah,
you hear it kind of thing. So
yeah,
you're still going to have down days, but you're not going to be in that deep, deep, deep kind of
yeah,
pit that you once
yeah,
were kind of thing is what I say. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
It is.
a big subject, isn't it, really?
No,
Habituation.
it is. It really is. Yeah, it is.
Should we do one more question each?
Yeah,
Let's have
perfect.
a, let's have a look. Let's have a look. I could talk about all this all day. How long
I
have we
know.
been on? I don't want to keep you too bloody long. Oh God, we've been on for a while. Right. I'll do one more question. Okay. I think.
Perfect.
Uh, oh, I've got some good ones to be fair. We'll have to do more of these calls.
Yes, we will. We'll do follow-ups.
If someone remembers one thing from your story that you've spoke about today, what would you want them to remember?
I would say to remember that help is out there. support is out there, really good information is out there, and it's not a quick fix. Don't rely on fad contraptions online, at home earwax cleaning things, poking stuff in your ears. Like,
did you do that?
Don't do it to yourself. No, don't do it to yourself. I used to have like, I think, an obsession with like cleaning my ears and ear buds. And since going through like my hearing aid journey, cochlear implant, I'm literally now, I don't touch my ears. They always, the audiologist always says to me, "What do you use to clean your ears?" And I'm always like, I don't, and then feel like, am I disgusting? And they're like, that was a trick question. You are not supposed to put anything in your ears smaller than your elbow. I was like, what? Smaller than your elbow?
Because I feel like everyone knows that saying, don't put anything smaller than your elbow, right? And I actually had a client the other day where I said, yep, like the saying, don't put anything smaller than your elbow. And they were like, what? I've never heard that before. I'm like, what? Everyone's heard that, right?
Yeah.
No, don't put anything in your ears smaller than your elbow. Honestly, like I bought this online ear syringe kit before I knew better, and I was blasting water in my ear all the time, thinking that was going to cure my tinnitus, but I had no earwax, which was a letdown. But if you haven't had your ears checked, go get them checked, because you may have earwax, so do not do it yourself.
No. And definitely keep it to the professionals. But I think I would say to people, and definitely look at Caris's page. For anyone with tinnitus, I think you've got such great information. I don't think you have any. You're always really honest and upfront that there is no quick fix, there's no cure, and I just think the information will help so many different people.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you need to start a YouTube channel. I really do think you should. I think after this, people will be like, where can I find all of her videos and things? You should do.
Well, obviously, I'm going to put the podcast on YouTube, so there'll be stuff on there. And then obviously, I think because I thought to myself, I'll initially start it with International CI Day and launch it from there. But then that sort of had like a knock-on effect where then people have been kind of like, I want to talk about hearing aids, or I want to talk about like for tinnitus, for example. And I thought there's just so much crossover, isn't there? So we'll definitely have to do some stuff.
I think I don't know, because it's so broad. I think with you, like a cochlear implant, kind of focusing on that, and kind of, I don't know, because there's so much to it. It's not just one thing, is it? But if you ever need any like help making it, let me know, because I've literally, my graphic design degree is like sitting getting dusty. If you need like a logo or anything, I'm so down.
Yes. Oh my God, I would definitely ask you about a logo. I would definitely.
I'd love to do that for you, honestly. Like, I just think you've got such a good story, and everyone needs to hear it. So
Thank you.
Right, I'll let you go now, mate, because we've been talking for bloody ages.
Thank you so much.